Hi, this is Dodger, and you're watching my show.
Three, two, one, ready, go!
So I have kind of an announcement. We have a new member of the family, the Fox Shelf family. And if your first response was, Dodger, is it the one who's staring at me so intensely and isn't actually a fox, then yep, you nailed it. Got that one and this one. Square Enix sent them to Sam with a really cute little note for Dragon Quest. It's so precious. So yeah, the orange one obviously had to go with its orange bros. The blue one, we're still trying to figure out exactly where he belongs. But either way, look, they have family now. So for our first piece of news, kind of a wrap up on the whole Atlus situation for any of you who missed out on that. Basically, when Persona 5 came out, Atlus was very aggressive towards streamers, YouTubers, Let's Players, etc., saying that there was only a certain amount of the game that you could stream or play, that you couldn't show cutscenes, that you needed to use your best judgment to not spoil anything having to do with the story, which to people who do what we do sounds ridiculous. We totally get where they're coming from. It just sounds like some wires are crossed and maybe our communication with them isn't very good. Like, they don't understand us, we don't understand them. It was bad. So understandably, they got a lot of pushback. A lot of people just streamed the whole game anyway. Let's play the whole game anyway, kind of a dare, like, if you want to come after me, go for it, but I didn't sign nothing. And now we're on the other side of this whole thing, actually seeing an apology from Atlus. We recognize that our fans are the reason why the game is the major worldwide success that it is, and we continue to want them to be able to enjoy the game without fear of being spoiled. However, we also heard your issues with the guidelines, and we've decided to revise them. Because we want to give players the most access to the game while respecting the original goal, we're now asking players to refrain from streaming or posting video past the end of the in-game date of 11/19, when the main story gears up for the final act. We also want to apologize to those of you who saw the previous guidelines blog post as threatening. We want to be transparent about what we do, and the reason we released the guidelines was to give streamers the right information up front. It was never our intention to threaten people with copyright strikes, but we clearly chose the wrong tone of how to communicate this. Now, while I feel like it's kind of late to make a date revision on how much of the game people can stream or put on their channels, and again, people are kind of doing whatever they want anyway, I do appreciate that they've apologized. The fact that they acknowledge that they took the wrong tone, that they weren't listening, that they were a bit more aggressive than they needed to be, I'm very glad. I'm very glad that they've acknowledged that, and it sounds like in the future maybe they'll do things a little bit differently. As a streamer and a Let's Player, I feel like having any kind of a you can't stream past this point or you can't play past this point is weird, but you know, baby steps. Nintendo has made some waves by making an announcement having to do with the final Splatfest. Any of you who played Splatoon 2 and took place in the final Splatfest, you got to choose between two of your inkling lovelies and decide which one you wanted to fight for the honor of, to choose best girl, waifu extraordinaire. And then, you know, it ended and everybody said, cool, well, that's over, you know. Marie is the best, obviously. But it turns out that final Splatfest might actually have a big impact on the storyline of Splatoon 2. And to have the community sort of affect the way that a storyline goes is not unheard of, but for Nintendo, that's a very modern game thing to do. They're normally very, you know, controlling of the message, controlling of the game. And so I think because Splatoon has had such a powerful fan base and it's so community driven, it seems like the people who are in charge of it have tapped into that and realized that it's gonna go a long way if we feel like we make a difference. So the official Splatoon site put up what they're calling a prologue for the Squid Sisters stories. I'm not gonna read it out to you. It's long enough that it would just take way too long, but also it's like kind of sad? I don't know how I feel about Splatoon 2 having some kind of a sad element to it, especially with my girls. But I think that this is a really good indicator of what's to come with Splatoon 2. You know, Splatoon itself was kind of a weird gamble, and it went really well, and they've got this great team of people who, again, are really tapping into sort of the really community-driven aspects of Splatoon. So if that's anything to go from, right, there's potential that Splatoon 2 is going to continue have more of these types of things, that events that happen in the game will affect sort of an underlying story, right? I would love that. Also, can I just point out, got to talk about Splatoon not only on the last anime news, but also on this gaming news episode. The squids. The squids are back in town. Stardew Valley just got a pretty substantial update, specifically for anybody who really wanted to play the game in their language, but it wasn't available. There's a big patch that just happened. It not only fixed a bunch of bugs, fixed the way the controllers work with the game, specifically some stuff for Mac and Linux users, but also added 6 new languages to the game. You can now play the game in German, Spanish, Russian, Japanese, simplified Chinese, and Brazilian Portuguese. I would say that that kind of an addition is a long time coming. I'm super glad that it happened, because I think up until this point it's only been in English. So to have multiple languages available to people is great. It's funny because whenever an article comes out about Stardew Valley, people say, man, I can't believe, this one guy, he's still working on it, huh? He's still just chugging a lugging on that game over a year later. But I mean, yo, if I put my heart and soul into a game, put it out into the world, and then made so much money I didn't know what to do with it, I'd be like, all right, yeah, I could keep working on this game forever. And for any of you who are listening to this and going, but where is the multiplayer? Man, okay. He has said that it is coming soon, but you know, we've been told that multiplayer is coming soon for a while. So, yeah, I think one of his recent blog posts talked about summer, like maybe a summer release for multiplayer, but I'm not sure. Multiplayer or not, that game is still awesome. I love it to death. The amount of mods that are available for that game are out of control. It's so great. It's got such a great community around it. I feel like every time I make one of these videos, I say the word community like maybe 30 times. But yes, the really dedicated fan base of this game continues with its strength and love. Awesomenauts has announced that they are going to be going free to play. Starting at the end of May, the game is going to be free to play across all platforms. It's a fantastic side-scrolling MOBA if you've never played it, but just so that everybody's aware, I did a voice in that game, so I'm a little bit biased towards it, even though I think that the voice that I did for it is absolute awful garbage. And every time I hear it, I cringe to myself and I want to just crawl into a hole. Going free to play has always made sense for Awesomenauts, as more players simply means it's a better game for everyone. It improves the matchmaking and networking experience and brings more people to community events and the amazing community-made mods. Yeah, it looks like May 24th is when it's going to be fully changed over. I guess just overall, you know, the game has been out for, what, 5 years? 5 or 6 years? So they've seen player numbers, you know, drop and drop and drop and drop, as happens with games. So I think that they're hoping that by going free to play, it's going to give it kind of a little kick in the butt, have some new people show up and play it again, which would be fantastic. If while you're there, you decide that you want to play a character named Foxy. That's not her voice, but it should have been. Hi everybody, I'm Foxy. Get what in tarnation? Oh, you will still need money in order to buy, like, skins and things, though. But the actual game, like the base game, you don't need to buy, which I think is fair. For any of you who have played a lot of Ark, you know about the volcano, right? There's a volcano. It's like right in the middle. For a while now, they've been talking about having it explode, like having a future patch where the volcano would have timed explosions that would just affect the entire map. It would be like a big event that happens every now and then. They've decided to sort of pull back on that idea. It just seemed, I guess, very inconsistent with the whole idea of Ark. The fact that a timed explosion would probably just destroy literally all of your hard work. And they don't want to do that. So instead, they've decided that they're creating a zone that is going to be sort of perpetually covered by lava. The patch to make all of this magic happen will be on May 3rd, but if you're thinking to yourself, wait, but what about all of the people who already have a base set up at the bottom of the volcano? Or like, what are they gonna do, right? They're sort of breaking the fourth wall a little bit, which isn't unknown for Ark. They've put up sort of a barrier, like a red line, and sort of established this is not safe, this is safe. So anybody who's playing right now that have like precious pets that they want to make sure are safe, or want to, you know, just like rebuild their stuff somewhere else, you have time. They're giving you the heads up. Honestly, the coolest part of all of this to me is that once this volcano patch goes live, that's also where their dungeons are going to start happening, because they've been talking for a while now about tech caves, I think is what they're being called, which is sort of like an end game sort of situation that they want people to work toward. And that's where those dungeons are going to be happening. That's where those caves are going to be that help you ascend, so to speak, and become super duper awesome Arc extravaganza. I don't know what any of that means, but we can just, you know, I feel like I put it into pretty good words. And as a final bit of news, any of you who are big Magic the Gathering fans who love to watch matches or maybe play, you've probably seen what's being called the Copycat Combo. It's a combination of 2 cards, Saheeli Rai and I think Felidar Guardian is the name of the cat one. It's a real pretty kitty. But the way that it works is basically you just copy infinite cats forever. Now this combo has existed in standard play for so long, to the point that it's actually in most decks. Like, most people use this combo because it's so broken. It's now been banned, so you can't use it in standard play. They put out like an emergency, whatever the emergency broadcasting system is for Magic the Gathering. They were like, hey, everybody who's running tournaments, don't use the cat and the cat girl. Don't use the cat lady and the cats, please. Wizards of the Coast also issued an apology, basically being like, yes, it sucks that it took us so long to get rid of this, but we also realized we shouldn't have let this even happen in the first place. You know, we should have been aware enough of our cards and the way that they work that these never even got printed in the way that they work. Man, this makes me think about how I have so many different friends who, I think a lot of people would say, oh, I have a few different friends who are working on a book, right? I feel like I have so many friends who are trying to make a board game in their minds, like all the time. They want to make a card game, or they want to make a dice game, like some kind of a tabletop board game of some description. And whenever I hear about stuff like this, I feel exhausted. Like, just how, man, I could not keep track of that stuff to save my life. But to any of you who are putting together games in your head right now, who are trying to do this right now, if you're that friend, power to you. I hope that you love finding those kinds of weaknesses, because that would stress me out. But anywho, that's been my show. Thank you so much for watching. If you have a positive or a negative response, feel free to leave it in my comment section. And if you would like to watch my Twitch streams, you can find them at twitch.tv/dexbonus. Thank you guys so much for watching today. I hope you're having a fantastic week, and I'll see you next time. Okay, bye-bye. Mwah. Whew, man, okay.